Hello there, and welcome to the Google Digital Garage for the session Writing for Social Media. A big welcome to all of you to today's session. Before we go ahead and jump into the session itself, there's a couple of housekeeping tips that we'd like to cover so we make this as inclusive as possible and everybody can get involved because this is very much an interactive session. First and foremost, if you're having any problems hearing me or seeing me today, please go ahead and refresh your browser. It normally irons out any potential problems. And next up, we love questions, we love queries, we love emojis, we love any type of engagement that we're going to get from you here today. So in order for you to get involved with today's chat, you would be required to have a YouTube account. Relatively easy to get set up. Once you're all set up, you'll be able to fire over those questions to myself and Sarah, who I'll be introducing very shortly. Now, we will be pausing throughout today's session for any particular questions, but as the session's going along, don't be shy. Pop in your questions, your queries. We'd love to interact. And of course, Sarah is going to be there to help you. Next up, this particular live training is part of a broader offering from the Google Digital Garage. So I hugely encourage you to click in the link in the description below. It'll take you to the website and give you a plethora of information, online courses, and many more live webinars very similar to this one. Next up, from an accessibility point of view, you may have already noticed that I tend to speak rather fast. I will do my very best to slow it down to make it sure it's as clear as possible. But for you to follow along a little bit more effectively, there is an option for you to have the closed captions. In order for you to have the closed captions, if you're viewing us through a mobile device, on the top right-hand side of the video, it should say CC with a block around it. Once you tap onto that, you should be able to have access to the subtitles. If you're viewing through a laptop or a desktop, what you want to do is hover over the video, find the settings option, looks like a little gear cog in the bottom right-hand side of the video, click onto that and find the closed captions. With that, hopefully you'll be able to follow along just a little bit more effectively. But with the housekeeping tips out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into some introductions. Well, my name is Daryl. I'm a digital trainer for this amazing program, the Google Digital Garage, but I'm also a digital trainer, facilitator, and ex-seafarer. I come from an incredibly diverse background upon various sectors across the world, including events, hospitality, sales and marketing, learning and development, recruitment, and of course, technology. But I'm not here alone. We're very fortunate to have Sarah with us here today, who will be moderating today's chat. If you're viewing us through a mobile device, she'll be just down there somewhere. If you're viewing us through a desktop or a laptop, she'll be on the far right-hand side, which will be on the other side right over there. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump. What are we going to be covering? Of course, did I mention Sarah? Yes, Sarah's going to be there ready and waiting to answer any questions. But what are we going to be covering over the next 57 minutes? Well, we've broken it down to three basic topics, should we say. Number one, we're going to jump into defining your brand on social media. We're going to start asking you a few questions. We're going to get you involved with a couple of activities to try and narrow down and understand what your brand is. How do we define that? Regardless if you've got 5 years as a brand and you going strong to maybe you're just starting off, we all need to define what that brand is before we can jump into number two, which is writing for social media. What do we need to start thinking about? How can we now connect with your customers and your audience in a more effective way when we're writing for social media? Last but not least, we're going to dive into a couple of tools into content marketing. Now, we live in an ever-evolving digital world. There is always new tools available to us. So stick around towards the end. We're going to jump into a couple of tools that may spark some creativity and allow you to start creating and writing for social media in a little bit more of a streamlined approach and just generally be more creative. But sometimes these live trainings can be a little bit overwhelming. So just to let you know, this particular live training will be available as a recording for approximately 24 hours. All you'll need to do is click on the same link that you used to join today's session, and you'll be able to rewind, fast forward, and really absorb the information at your own pace. And if you really find this session of value, please go ahead and share this link to your family, your friends, whoever you know who would hugely benefit from a session like this. But sometimes maybe you've got a business right now, or you've got a charity, and you've got a little bit more of a specific question or specific objectives that you'd like to overcome, or maybe challenges that you have. Well, you're in luck, because Google is offering free one-to-one mentoring sessions to small businesses and charities throughout the UK. Now, I'm proud to be a part of this, along with Sarah, who's currently moderating today's chat, who is also a Google Digital Garage trainer and a mentor for this amazing initiative. So if you are a small business or charity within the UK, go ahead and take down that link, which is g.co/UK mentoring, and we look forward to welcoming you and helping you move forward with your business or your charity. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the first part, which is going to be around defining your brand on social media. Let's see if there's been any hellos so far. We did from Furlan. Big welcome to yourself, Furlan. Who else do we have? We also have Social Med Media. A big hello to you, and thank you for getting involved. We've got Jenny. Jenny, big, wonderful emoji hand. We started off strong. Make sure you maintain that engagement throughout today's session. Who else do we have? We haven't got any else hellos, but if you are sitting there right now and watching this session, in order to make the most out of it, we want your engagement. Now, as much as myself and Sarah are looking to impart knowledge and help you move forward, there could be something that you pop in the chat today that may resonate with somebody else. So please get involved. This is very much an interactive session, and we welcome those questions. But to start off today's session on defining your brand on social media, I want to ask you a question, which is going to be, what is a brand tone of voice? And in today's session, within the next 55 minutes, this is a safe psychological space. There is no such thing as a silly answer, the wrong answer. It's all about ideating ideas and looking at how we can help you start writing for social media more effectively to look to get the engagement that you're looking for. So get involved and go ahead and answer this question. What is a brand tone of voice? Pop it into the chat. Myself and Sarah would absolutely love to know your thoughts on this. So when it comes down to your brand tone of voice, now, when I first heard of this, I thought to myself, social media, tone of voice, really, what is that? How do I define that? How do I now build off that if it is such a thing? So what is a brand tone of voice? Pop it into the chat, even if it's the first thing that comes to your mind. We just want to start being creative, start brainstorming, and start coming up with ideas for you to start moving forward. So what is a brand tone of voice? I'll give you a couple of hints. So let's imagine you have a business or a charity. How do we now communicate? Now, there's a way that you communicate on a day-to-day basis while you're speaking to your customers. We have one from Jenny, which is fantastic. I'm going to jump into that in a second. So at the moment, when you're speaking to your customers on a daily basis, it's just a general conversation. But now, how do we then articulate that? How do we now form a tone of voice online that's going to allow you to build up trustworthiness, maybe some credibility, maybe just essentially just the connection with your customers. So Jenny's popped in there a tone, like an authoritative, friendly, or casual that defines your brand and you can use throughout your website and writing on social. I feel like Jenny's got a bit of experience and I really, really do appreciate that. Please get involved as much as possible because knowledge is power. And again, you sharing that is definitely going to help others. So keep that up. We also got Social Med Media, who's focused on style, tone, and the personality of your business or yourself. Well, I think you may have already predicted the future because that's what we're going to jump into next, which is the answer of the personality of your brand or your business. So pretty much nail on the head there, Social Med Media. Anyone else who's thinking the same? That is exactly what we're going to focus on. When it comes to defining your brand and your tone of voice, we need to start thinking about your personality when it comes to how you are going to speak as if you're a real person in the online version. So let's have a little fun with this. And I encourage you to get involved with this because the more fun we have, the more creativity we can start building off on this. So what we're going to jump into and think about your business or your brand. If it is a business or a brand that you currently have, think of it as a celebrity. If your brand or business was a celebrity, what celebrity would you choose? Now, it could be these three, but maybe you have a specific celebrity that you aspire to or you admire or you would like to, I suppose, imitate those values that that celebrity has with your business or brand. So again, creative, we're just having fun with this. Pop into the chat. Who would be your celebrity and what would you tie closely to your brand or your business? So to give you a couple of examples to give us some context, we have Bill Nye, the science guy. Maybe depending on who's watching today, think about it. Bill Nye was informative, approachable, and goofy on the lines of Jenny, for example, who was authoritative, friendly, and casual. Now, for those watching and thinking, oh, I'd like to get involved, start thinking about your three words. Now, as much as you're thinking about a celebrity, think about those three words that is going to encompass what that celebrity is or your business. George Clooney, a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more laid back, and is definitely a lot more smoother. However, we got Beyonce. Now, Beyonce is one of those individuals that is incredibly empowering. And since she's empowering, that's something that I tend to lean towards as a personal brand myself. But am I strong and alluring? Well, that's something maybe you can tell us and tell me. Am I strong and alluring? So what we want to start doing now, and hopefully having fun with this, and start to think about a celebrity. We're going to think about 3 words, and I'm going to get you involved a little bit later in today's session. But with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and jump into the 4 steps to help you develop your brand tone of voice. Now, feel free to grab a pen and paper ready to go, or a separate digital document so you can start ideating ideas and just start brainstorming, because this is going to allow you to start writing for social media after this a little bit more effectively. So number one, we're going to jump into your brand values. And I want to ask you a couple of questions that I really would like you to get involved with. Then we're going to jump into a pen portrait. Now, pen portraits, maybe that's new for some of you, maybe it's not, but we're going to jump into the intricacies of pen portraits and how important they are when it comes to writing for social media. Then we'll jump into how do we speak, very similar to the celebrity and you as a brand or a business. How do you speak if you're a real person? And then we're going to jump into choosing the right words. Now, this 4-step process is really going to go to spark that, hopefully, that creativity and that inspiration to start building the formation of your brand. Regardless if your brand is already built up, we want to make sure we sustain that. And if you're just starting off, this is a great starting point. So number one is a brand values. What does your brand or your business stand for? Let's make this really simple. And I'm going to pause for a while and hopefully get an answer for you. And I'd like to ask you the question, what does Nike stand for? Pop it into the chat. First thing that comes to your mind, what does Nike stand for? And on the other hand, if you're not sure what Nike stands for, what does Adidas stand for? Pop it into the chat. I just like to know instantly, first thing that comes to your mind, what does Nike stand for? What does Adidas stand for? Pop it into the chat, because when it comes to your brand or your business, we're all going to stand for something. Maybe you're going to stand for excellent customer service. Maybe you're going to stand for the providing the best atmosphere at a restaurant, for example. Or maybe you are known for unbiased reporting, kind of the go-to place to get information that is not biased or salesy at all. There's lots of different things on how we can stand for, be stood for, getting with a tongue twister. So let's go ahead and jump into, we have social media popular athletic shoes. Oh, okay. That's what you stand for. Jenny heard victory, empowerment, and courage. But also let's go down to the very, very essence of what Nike is. Nike is just do it. We've got Adidas, all day I dream about sports. They all stand for something. But now I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to answer this, but this is something that I like to ask many businesses, charities, and organizations is, what do you stand for? It's a simple question I'd like you to ask yourself, maybe write it down and start thinking about that. What is it that you stand for? You have big brands like Google and Nike and Adidas all stand for something and they have values. But we need to ask that question to ourselves. What do you stand for? Think about that. While you're thinking about that, we're going to jump into 2 fictitious examples of Nico's Pizzeria and Hathaway Legal, who couldn't be so different from themselves and so distant. So we have Nico's Pizzeria is all about pizzeria. It's about making quality pizza with fresh ingredients, providing excellent customer service, fast, reliable home delivery and takeaway. Hathaway Legal, on the other hand, is all about dedicated with the highest level of diligence to each case that they handle. They believe in their clients with a quick response, and they only hire the top lawyers. So think about yourself. We've already got the likes of social media and Jenny getting involved with those basic words that we're going to build off the foundation of your definition of your brand and then how we're going to write for social media. So whoever who hasn't popped into the chat, write it down and please get involved. So you've now defined your brand and what are your values. Unfortunately, myself and Sarah, we cannot tell you what those values are, but really start to sit down and brainstorm what those are by just writing down a couple of words. A couple of words lead to a couple of sentences. A couple of sentences lead to paragraphs. And before you know it, you now will have a really grasp idea of what your values are. Because if you can't establish your values, it's very difficult to follow on furthermore along the way when we start to jump into number 2, which is how would you describe a core member of your audience? This is something I focus on a daily basis with any business charity that I work with is, who is the customer? Who is the audience? How do we focus our attention to start building up a connection with you and your business? So you're going to use a pen portrait. And you may be thinking, well, Daryl, what is a pen portrait? Well, it's some sort of a tiresome activity of creating the target audience through words. And we're going to create a vivid picture of that audience through the words that we use. Because if we create content for everyone, We could land up creating content for no one. Now, I really love this quote because it deems incredibly true in today's world. I always put it in very basic terms. We have the internet, you have your business, you have your customers and your audience. How do we connect those two? And if you're looking to connect and you're looking to broaden your brand or establish your brand and start writing for social media more effectively, how do we then understand who are you writing for? Because if we understand who we're writing for, you can start creating more relevant, quality, high quality content for those audiences and their customers that you're looking to target. So again, following along with this fictitious example, we have Nico's Pizzeria and we have Hathaway Legal. Feel free to read through the one on the far right-hand side with around Hathaway Legal, but I'm just going to go ahead and jump into Nico's Pizzeria because it's a Friday and I'm probably going to get a pizza by the end of the day. And maybe by me talking about pizza so much, you might get a pizza too. But Nico's Pizzeria, this is the pen portrait that they built off. Now, I'd like you to do something similar with your business or charity. Simon, young, single, professional in their late 20s, loves, no, not loves, works full time, which he may or may not love, in advertising and living in Brighton, leads a very busy work and social life, has a big appetite for adventure, a keen athlete who enjoys playing football, but also goes to his local bar and his mates to watch televised sporting events. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, Daryl, this is just a paragraph of words. Well, when you start to think about it, this business, Nico's Pizzeria, has really started to get into tune with who their customers are. So, how do we build off this? How do you, watching this right here today, start to build up your own pen portrait? Well, this is where you're going to take out the cameras, or you're going to take some screenshots and start taking some photos of these major points of who your customer is or who your audience is. When writing for social media, how do we know? What is their gender, their age? Where do they live? What is their marital status? What is their job status? What are their hobbies? What are their interests? What is their job title? Who is the breadwinner? Who speaks the most? Not speaks the most. Who has the more control with buying power, for example? What are their talents? What are their ambitions? What are their views when it comes to politics? And you may be thinking, well, Daryl, how do I know all of this information? Well, this is something that we learn over time. But the best way that I would recommend learning more about your audience is ask them. Create a survey, create a poll on social media, which I'll get to very, very shortly. But once you start to build up a really good idea and a pen portrait and a vivid idea of who your customers are, your writing for social media efforts will be a lot more effective and hopefully will lead to more engagement. So take a picture of this, just take a screenshot and start building up a pen portrait of who you are writing social media for. Then we're going to jump into number three, which is what describes the personality of your brand or your business. Number one, it was brand values. Number two was who is your audience by creating a pen portrait. But now we need to make sure that that personality that all of you have needs to come through social media. So let's now summarize those. Now, remember, we spoke about those three celebrities, which is Beyonce, Bill Nye, and George Clooney, thinking about your business or brand as a celebrity. And I thought will ask you to think about three words. Well, now is Now is your time to share those three words. Jenny and Social Made Media have already shared their words. Is there anybody else there watching today who'd like to get involved? Pop it into the chat. Think about your business as if it was a celebrity or just a personality. When you think of your business as a personality, what are the three words that come to your mind? Nico's Pizzeria is charm, authenticity, and family. Hathaway Legal is about powerful, efficient, and experienced. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Dara, why are we doing this? This is so simple. Well, again, going to build the foundations of how we're going to create consistency with the writing of social media. So get involved. We'd love to know. Number four is create some guidelines on the words that you will and will not use. Now, this is something that all major businesses and companies will do. But regardless if you're a sole trader, you're a small team, or you quite a large team, we need to establish how are you and your team going to communicate on social media. That goes for comments, that goes for emails, that goes for DMs, that goes for any type of communication that you're going to have with your audience. So we got Nico's Pizzeria of the words that they will be using and they won't be using. Oh, fantastic. We have B Plan. Big welcome to yourself, big B Plan, and thank you for getting involved. The words that they've chosen is alternate, love that, alternate, creative thinker, and versatile. Those are very powerful words, and I absolutely love those. Hopefully, you've written those down. I'm actually tempted to take one of those words, which is the creative thinker. And we need more creative thinkers in this world today. So thank you for getting involved, and hopefully you're getting some value from this. Anybody else? Please don't be shy. Myself and Sarah, we love this. We love when we start to hear more about your businesses and your thoughts, because this is when the magic starts to happen. So Nico's Pizzeria, a couple of things they will say, a couple of things they won't say, but they've mitigated what they will and will not say. And if you're a team, share that with your team, making sure that there is a consistent personality that you are communicating within the brand. So with that, we're now 20 minutes in. We're going to jump to see if there's any questions. I've been keeping an eye on the chat the entire time. We've already got one question from Jenny, which I'll jump into straight away. But anyone else, pop it into the chat. And if you don't have any questions, myself and Sarah, we love feedback. If you want to give us feedback on today's session, please go ahead and just go to this link, which is goo.gle/digital garage feedback. We have a question from Jenny. How do we create a persona when you're a charity targeting both funders and service users? How do you segment those audiences? Well, that is a fantastic question. So for those who aren't familiar with personas, it's very similar to a pen portrait. A pen portrait is all about the words that we use to create that vivid picture. However, a persona is more formed in a, you could give an example of maybe a male or a female picture, their name, their age, and you basically create a person who's going to be your target audience when you're looking to write for social media. The question from Jenny is, they're a charity, which is thank you for what you do, but they're targeting funders and service users. So it's a difficult approach because we need to make sure that we're getting funding for the charity, but we're also making sure that we get people that are involved with the charity itself. So in itself, you do need to create two personas, as many of you as a business or charity will need to create two personas of who you're looking to target. The next question I'm going to put out there is, if you're looking to segment those audiences, the best advice that I can give to you is identify the channels on the majority. Where are the funders? Where are they spending their time? Which social media are they spending most of their time? And then when it comes to the service users, where are they spending their time? And if it's the same platform, then we're going to have to start creating a strategy of how do we then separate that and communicate that on that particular platform. But if you notice that a lot of your funders are on a specific page or specific social media platform like LinkedIn, then you can use the language aligned with your values. However, your voice that you communicate will be a little bit different towards the service users. It's a fantastic question. I would love to elaborate on that. But Jenny, what I'd love you to do is book into a free one-to-one mentoring session. I'm pretty sure Sarah can pop that link into the chat. Book into a one-to-one session. We can build off that and hopefully give you some more resources to start separating that and start making sure you maintain your your brand values, and you're making sure you target those effectively. And I'm pretty sure Sarah might pop in a couple of resources or suggestions in the chat, but a fantastic question. And for anybody else watching, please get involved. We want to hear from you. Then we're going to go jump into number 2. So what do we do first? We defined what your brand is. Now, I would love to spend more time on that, but we looked at those 4 steps. Jumping into those 4 steps, you've built up a very basic foundation of the words that you use. You're going to mitigate out how we're going to communicate if you're a real celebrity, if you'd like to say that, what were your brand values and who is your audience? But now, with all that information, we now need to write for social media a lot more effectively. So there's a wonderful quote that I really, really enjoy reading every time I see it, which is, I would have written a shorter letter, but I did not have time. Now, I love this quote, but I'm not sure if it should be attributed to Pascal or to Winston Churchill, but it really reigns true when it comes to social media. I think we all know that we are all limited to the amount of characters that we can use with any given post, depending on the platform that you're using. For example, Twitter, their limits on their characters is very, very short, whereas LinkedIn, it may be a little bit more, you have some more context that you can add. But the major message that we want to bring across is that attention spans, oh my word, attention spans today are really bad. The average human attention span is close to 8.25 seconds. Some even say 3 seconds when we talk about videos. The fact that we've been here talking, myself, for the last 25 minutes, if you've managed to stay attentive until right now, you are doing a phenomenal job. But 8.25 seconds, that is the average human attention span, and it's getting harder and harder today to grab people's attention. But with that in mind, when we're looking to write for social media, we're going to talk about something that could be slightly controversial, but we want to start thinking about how do we capture people's attention? Because if we have a human attention span of 8.25 seconds, that means that we have attention span less than a goldfish. The average the average attention, notoriously ill attention span for a goldfish is 9 seconds. We are now 8.25 seconds. So our attention spans are so bad that writing for a goldfish. What was I saying again? No, I'm just kidding. But when it comes to attention spans, we need to imagine we are writing for goldfish. We need to assume that the reader will only read. Did you manage to see the second half of that sentence? Pop it into the chat if you saw it. You probably didn't. I didn't give you exactly 8 seconds, but with attention spans are low, we have that in mind when we're looking to write for social media. We need to make sure that we capitalize on that or we use that as our advantage. With attention spans are low, how do we capture people's attention? How do we get people involved when we look at writing for social media? Well, we need to assume your reader will only read the first half of your sentence. That is the facts. And I'm pretty sure that many of you here today, or even right now, while you watch the session, you were scrolling on social media or you got distracted. We need to make sure that we capture people's attention and lock that in. So, well, how do we do that? Well, we're going to jump into the motivators rather than the pain points. Attention spans are low. We need to focus on the motivators. Now, what the main goal, I suppose the golden rule at Google is to focus on the user. If you focus on the user, the rest will follow. Now, what do I mean about focusing on the user and the motivators rather than the pain points? Well, specifically your audience. Who are they? Are they looking to get entertained or are they looking to get educated? Are they looking to learn something new? Are they looking to win something? How do we focus on what you're writing for social media, but you're writing for an audience? What do they want? Specifically, what do they want? What are their motivators rather than their pain points? Because when we write for social media, what we want to do is we want to focus on the benefits rather than the features. Now, for those watching this right now, you maybe have a product or a service that you have. Now, it could be a tangible, maybe an actual device or a phone, or it could be anything, tangible or non tangible, but we want to focus on the benefits rather than the features. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take, for example, this wonderful smartwatch. This is a new gadget watch that I've just got, and I'm just about to put it on market. And I want to make sure that I shout about it on social media. Well, what we can do is focus on the features rather than the benefits. Let's say, for example, I jump onto social media and I go, yo, new stock in town. We now have a new gadget watch and it's waterproof up to 5 meters. Wow, that's cool. Not really that beneficial to me. It's cool that you have a phone, a watch that's 5 millimeters thick. It's comes in black, white, and gold. Again, how about we rephrase that and think about, well, we got a new watch, you can take it swimming. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like to use this and go swimming and I don't have to take it off. It's also smash resistant. Well, that's awesome because I go rock climbing and I'm often walking into walls. That's weird, but walking into walls into with my phone or with my watch. So what we want to do, think about your business or charity and pop it into the chat. What is the benefits of your product or your service? And you could list the features maybe. Regardless, again, if it's a product or a service, I'd like you to pop into the chat right now. Sell it to us. Sell it to myself, Sarah, and everybody watching right now. What are the benefits of your business? Say what it is and what are the benefits of using your service? It's a very quick and easy way to start iterating ideas of how you can write for social media and focus on the benefits. So who wants to take themselves out of their comfort zone and jump into the chat and pop into their chat? What is the name of your business or what you have to offer and what are the benefits? Pop into the chat. Myself and Sarah would absolutely love to know. While you're doing that, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. But on the next slide, I want you to focus on the gray words and think about if we just started to write for social media and use the gray words. Well, we have a digital marketing course. Well, that's cool. Like, how many digital marketing courses are out there? That's not really going to grab my attention. There's so many courses out there. Okay, well, then the next one, product roadmap software. Maybe if I'm looking for product roadmap software, that's relevant, but it's pretty straightforward. It's something that I can see on a daily basis. Or there is when you try 3 bags, oh wow, when I try 3 bags of our roasting kit, you know what I read when I see that? When you try 3 bags of our, I don't want to know about your business. How about you talk about me? What are the benefits for me? How about we now turn that around and start off with boost your CV with a free. You've got my attention. I'm pretty much don't have a job right now. I'm working on my CV. I don't have money. That's going to capture my attention because it's beneficial to me. Next up, we have get product and engineering on the same page. Well, for somebody that's looking for a product roadmap software and you can get something on the same page, that's beneficial to me. Last but not least, we have get a free roasting kit. You've already got my attention. I love coffee. I love free stuff. I'm going to listen to you and I might read a little bit longer on that specific page instead of swiping, 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 which we all do, and the attention spans are low. So hopefully this is going to help you tremendously by get that initial engagement. We've got some wonderful answers in the chat there. Thanks for getting involved. We have B-Plan. We are a company that develops design and architectural solutions in metal. Love that. I'm already captivated and interested. And your three words are versatile, durability, and sustainability. Love that. We've got Crete anti-aging wellness clinic. Benefits are live longer, healthier, and life. Hopefully, you've got that as some sort of a mission statement. Make sure that oozes out of your post on social media. MGamer42, love the name. I sell natural products. So how can I focus on features when benefits are the core reason about them? Well, that's true. So let's say, for example, it's a great suggestion. You have natural products. So how can you focus on the features rather than the benefits? Well, the core reason about them is the fact that they are natural, but the fact that they are natural definitely is beneficial to a human being. Like, for example, for me, what's beneficial to me is that I now know that it is a natural. You could talk about the sources. You could also talk about how beneficial it would be for you to use this sustainably. So what I'd love to do is I'd love to expand on that. I'm a problem solver. My brain's always ticking. So B plan, what I would well, who was a B plan? It was MGamer42. Please, if you are in the UK, please book into that free one-to-one mentoring session. We'll be able to elaborate on that and maybe help you start to target that a lot more effectively. Who else do we have? We have Social Media Med. Social Media Med Media. I create content and manage a social, digital, and copywriting for social doctors' offices. Amazing. So what are the benefits specifically that you have to offer compared to all the others that you or your other competitors? And once you start thinking about those benefits for you, what benefits do you personally give, personally, as a business, help your customers? But loving this engagement. We have Jessica. Agile lean transformation saves you time and money as tasks are done more efficiently through our team or new software we develop. You must be in sales, Jessica, because you've got my attention and you are solving a problem because you are saving my time and my money by offering this service. So great examples. And I would love to continue to brainstorm on this, but hopefully all of you watching are doing something similar. Remember, focus on those benefits because we want to start connecting with your audience more effectively. So use clear and simple versus complicated language. Now, by no means are we saying dumb down the post. By no means are we saying that. What we need to keep in consideration is attention spans are low. We need to make sure we capture people's attention that is very easy for us to digest. For example, buy one, get one free, get a free roasting kit, boost your CV, for example. All of those are going to capture people's attention. So how do we then think about clear versus complicated language? Well, where possible, try to use simple words or phrases that can be understood by the general. Now, of course, there's going to be many different parts about this in terms of jargon or technical words or specific words in that industry that only that audience would understand. I get that perspective, but we need to understand attention spans are low. We want to make sure we use reader friendly, clear, and structured. What I mean by structured, let's say, for example, you create a post that's reasonably long on LinkedIn. How do you create subtitles or add in emojis to start breaking up the context of what you're looking to say instead of just vomiting a whole paragraph to individuals, which is like very overwhelming? So maybe use emojis, maybe use subheadings, maybe use just headings, maybe use bullet points, which some people steer away from, but clean and simple versus the complicated language and technical words. Now, structure the message logically and use those common words rather than jargon. And please don't use flowery language or unnecessary words. Save that character count that you have and use words that are going to captivate someone's attention. Also, I'd like to ask you a question for just for you to think about is when you look to click publish or post on that post, what is the purpose of that post? And I want you to always think about that. Firstly, the question is, Am I going to connect with my audience? If I look at my pen portrait and I look at the post that I'm about to post, will they like it? Will they connect with it? Will they share it? Then if so, yes. Okay, they will. I think they will. Then I click post. What is the purpose of that post? Is it because it's just a general post? Or are we looking to get a call to action to someone to the website? Or we to get more people to follow your account? Or is it just a post for brand awareness? Every individual post that you're looking to create on social media should be very thought out to start creating that engagement. Once you start to think about that, it starts to become a little bit more systematic and you won't have to think as much moving forward. And remember, stay in tune because at the end, we're going to talk about a couple of tools that's going to help you. Next up, how do we cut the copy but keep the same meaning? Pop it into the chat. How do you cut your copy but keep the same meaning? You look to write on social media, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's TikTok, wherever you're looking to write, how do you cut the copy but keep the same meaning? And the reason I'm asking and we are asking is because there could be something that you pop in the chat today that may inspire me or inspire somebody that's watching today. So how do you think we can do this? How do you cut the copy but keep the same meaning? Pop it into the chat. So we'll jump while you're thinking about that. We are then going to think about handling customer complaints on social media. While you're thinking about how do you cut the copy but keep the same meaning, there is going to be something that we need to consider. Something that you may or may not have experienced already is that you may get a complaint, especially if you're a business or a charity, more towards the business, I would say, is when they start complaining publicly. And because we are public and we have our brands on social media, we need to start thinking about how do we handle this? And this is going to give you a couple of guidance. Now, of course, I'm not here to hold your hand. We're just going to give you a couple of advice on how we can approach this in the most effective way that's not going to tarnish your reputation or tarnish your brand, and handle it in a more professional, polite way. So handling customer complaints, first and foremost, avoid passive language. Rather use an active language, just as if someone walked into your shop or your business, you would speak to them, and this will help you write clear and concise and straight to the point. So first and foremost, avoid that passive language. If somebody is complaining, I always find that is a massive opportunity, a challenge and an opportunity to really create something that could build up my reputation of my business or just build up that customer service that could maybe lead to future sales. And that's the way I like to approach it. So how can you fix the problem? That is the main thing that we need to think about when you get a complaint. When you first get a complaint, a lot of us is going to be like, wow, that just felt like we got stabbed right through the heart. That was really, really not nice, because we don't want complaints and we want all our customers to be happy. But put that aside and let's focus on how do we fix the problem? How do we ask, acknowledging what they said rather than empty empathizing, which I think it's happened to me many times. I don't complain a lot, but when I do complain, I felt like the responses were just like, yeah, so what? Okay, we'll try and improve next time. Well, you're not really going to have a next time because you've no longer got my services, or I'm no longer going to work with you, or I'm no longer going to buy from your business. So with that, being jokey has a time and place, specifically if you have a complaint related to money. If it's money, we need a serious response. If it's something comical, like something that just happened and it was so incredibly funny that maybe randomly something happened, feel free to lighten-hearten it. Lighten-hearten it? Maybe respond lightheartedly is the word I'm looking for. But we want to make sure joking has a time and place. Once we've resolved the issue, then we can start to build off that maybe more funny approach. Next up, sign up for the name. This is by far one of the best advice that I've ever personally been given. Is every time someone has complained or I've complained, if it was signed up with a name, it's almost like that person has now taken responsibility and will take charge of that complaint. So make sure you sign up with a name. So what we're going to do, we're going to put this into context and give you an example. There's a company, which is customer to your company. Look, I ordered a mobile from your company last week, but when it arrived, it was badly damaged. When I called to complain, I was rudely told you do not accept returns and that I need to contact a delivery company for compensation. Is this really how you treat your loyal customers? I will never buy from you again. Hopeless. After I read that, I probably just want to get the covers and I just want to say, oh no, I just want to steer away from it. But how can we now approach this? Yes, it's very hard. It's not heartbreaking for someone to have a complaint, especially about a business. But how would you handle this complaint? What was the first thing that you would say? Pop it into the chat. Myself and Sarah would love to know. But we got one from Alice. It's something I struggle with the most. I'm pretty sure you struggle with the character accounts. Alice, I'm going to give you a couple of tools for that to help you. Jessica, I make sure it includes what we are solving, the benefit, and the call to action. So fantastic. While I'm reading through those, think about how you would respond to this. Maybe just one line. Just think about the first sentence that you would say. What was the first thing you would respond if you get this complaint? And what do you think the first thing you should do is? Because this complaint is public. So someone has found you on social media and they've decided to complain because their services weren't good. How do we turn this around? How do we make this something good? But also, how do we make sure that we don't damage our reputation? The first thing that we need to do is we need to go private. So what I would recommend is respond publicly to make sure that everyone knows that we are actively looking to help you, regardless of what your problem is, and then get them to the DMs, direct messages, and handle that in a more informative and a more personable way, which I'm pretty sure that they will appreciate. So there we go. For M Gamer, you are on it. The first thing that would apologize and ask them to send a private message to fix this problem, that is perfect. Yes, we have a complaint online. We've acknowledged it. We'll take it on board. Let's see how we can work together and jump straight into those DMs. Be plan. The first thing I believe that is always apologize. Okay. So again, some people would like to apologize. Some people maybe would like to find the idea, then apologize. But regardless of what it is, we need to handle it. So this is one of the best responses that I think would be, hello customer, our sincere apologies for your inconvenience caused and the poor customer service you have received. It fell below our high standards. We value your patronage and will launch a full investigation into why our team provided you with misinformation and didn't treat you with the full respect that you deserve. Please contact me on my direct email and we can organize a full compensation or replacement for you. It's a fantastic response, but you could get to choose how you respond. The first one is sincere apologies, pretty much what B Plan said as well. So you apologize, and remember, we don't passive. We're not passive. We actively listen and we look at how we can fix the problem. We acknowledge, and then of course sign off with a name. So thanks for getting involved with that one. We're going to jump into the next part of questions. Let's go ahead and see if there's any questions. There is one from Crete. How do we make it clear to the boss that simple texts work better? He thinks that if we write about health topics very simply, it will not look professional. He prefers to use a lot of complicated words. Creets, that is a fantastic question. And the one thing that I'm going to respond is when it's the common trap that we all seem to get stuck in when it comes to businesses and charities is that we assume we as doesn't matter for employees, owners, bosses, whoever we are, we assume that people would want this content. We assume that people would want text as a content. What we are doing wrong is assuming. So the response that I have for that, and for anybody really, is we need to know what your customers want. What do your audiences want? How do we do that? We ask them. Not only do we ask them, we learn from analytics, we learn from insights, and we learn by asking through polls, by asking them through Google Forms. But remember, there was a step number 2 in how we build up and define our brand. We need to know who our customers are. They have all the answers. They can tell us if they want text, and they can tell us if they want complicated words. Have that conversation with them and have a conversation with multiple customers, and you'll start to understand what is it that they really want. And then we can build off from there. So we could win this battle with it. Who was it, your boss? We could say that your boss is wrong. We could say that you're wrong. We could say vice versa. But we could bounce back all day. Essentially, your customers are the ones that we need to ask and have that conversation with. So if anybody watching, if you're in a similar position where you're not quite sure which type of content they like, talk to them, ask them, create a form, have a conversation, pick up the phone, have a webinar, have anything, any type of engagement that you can have with your customers. And if you want to learn more about this and how to connect with them, make sure you click on the link in the description below. Google Digital Garage has many more tools to help you with this one. So let's go ahead and jump into the last bit of today's session. We've got about 15 minutes left. Now, I'd just like to quickly recap what have we covered so far. Number 1, which was define your brand. We jumped into those 4 steps of establishing your personality, the tone of your voice. We mitigated words that you will and will not use, but it is all formed by your brand values. Once you have your brand values, the rest will follow and you'll be able to create consistency with that. Number two, we then jumped into how do we handle the complaints, but we also started to define how do we write for social media more effectively. Now, what I love to jump into is your toolkit for content marketing. Now, the Google Digital Garage has been around for quite some time. It's been very, very useful to many people. But what I want to touch base on is that there is many, many tools specifically today that are readily available on a daily basis, and this grows often. So what we're going to do is when it comes to your toolkit with content marketing, if you're looking to write for social media, the first tool that we're going to recommend is something called Grammarly, because Grammarly is not only going to help you create a more grammatically correct post, it will then save you time on thinking about checking every single word and making sure that it works. Now, you could be as OCD as I am. Before I post, I jump into Google Docs, I type up the post, and I use the Grammarly extension to make sure that it's all grammatically correct. I've done all the spell checks. I will then copy that and then paste it into the actual post itself. Because once it is public, it is public. We want to make sure we are communicating clearly, concisely, and grammatically correct. But me personally, if you make an odd mistake here and there, that's also okay because we're all human. So when it comes to creating engaging visuals, the first one that we're going to think about is how do we create eye-catching photographs? Now, we asked the question earlier, how do you cut the copy but keep the same meaning? Well, when it comes to the character accounts, we don't have any power to change that. But what you do have a power to do change, we do have a power to do change. What the power you do have, what you can do is you can start adding photos. Now, photos is, of course, been around for a long time. Now you can take stock photos from something called Pixels or Pixabay or Unsplash. So just to give you the one, great one would be unsplash.com, Pixels and Pixabay. Maybe Sarah can pop one or two of those in there, which is going to be a stock free, basically copyright free images that you can use. But what I would recommend is that many of us have our smartphones readily available. Go ahead and take photos, take real authentic photos, and then we can use some editing programs to start enhancing those photos. Majority of us on our smartphones, we already have those editing features that we can start to change the hue, the saturation, make it black and white. Make sure you play around with that and just make sure it pops. And make sure that you have a consistent look and feel to the social media posts that you are creating. When it comes to editing the photos, of course, you have your phone. Your phone will do a lot of the groundwork for you at the beginning, but then you have some really cool tools like something called canva.com, which I'm pretty sure Sarah will pop a link into the chat. Canva.com is free, freemium, so it's free to a point of use. You can always pay for it at a later date for more features, but it's a great tool to start off on. Canva is used by many, many people around the world to create the engaging content you're looking to jump into. The next thing I want to jump into is something called templates. Now, the templates that you will find on Canva, for example, or in any tool that you're going to use, by using a template, you will start to create something that is going to be consistent. Now, I'm not saying that every single post has to be exactly the same, but if you use templates, you'll have the same fonts in every post, or maybe two fonts at the most. Maybe you have specific colors of your brand that you'd like to incorporate within your posts. Just think of Google, for example. What's the first four colors that come to your mind? It's going to be those four colors that you will see on screen at some point during today's session. Think about your colors. Think about how you can create a template for the next 30 days, the next 60 days. How are you going to post using a similar template that's going to create consistency, something that's memorable, and that's something that people will start to relate to and become accustomed to and will start to really trust you. Last but not least, the graphic design apps. Of course, Canva is one of them. There's another one called VSCO Cam, but there's many, many different graphic design apps out there. I encourage you to explore them, have fun with them. But the main message we're looking to bring across when it comes to great engaging visuals is that once we define our brand, we've communicated with our audience or our customers, we want to make sure that it's consistent, it's clear, and it's attractive, and we're making sure we get people within that attention span. Now, the last thing I'd like to remember is that something that's really ingrained in me right now and should be for many is that we are in an ever-evolving digital world. And when it comes to writing for social media, we need to use as many tools that we have available to us. But one of the main messages that we like to bring across is that we are just people, and people love to connect. And when we start to connect with your customers and your audience, writing for social media becomes a lot less as a admin role. It becomes more of something that you enjoy, because before there was internet, before there was technology, before there was social media, we used to speak to our customers. We had that face-to-face interaction. Of course, we still have that today, but there is a huge part of our lives that we spend on social media. So why not grab your phone? Why not grab a selfie stick or a tripod and create a video and just talk to the camera authentically and tell people what you're about? If you don't want to be face fronting, maybe one of your employees or maybe one of your team member does. If you don't want to be face fronting at all, you've got some amazing AI tools that can help you create a video that will help you communicate your message with your customers. But grab a smartphone, grab your camera, start talking, and let people know what you have to offer. All of you, your business, charity, whoever you're watching right now, you all have something to offer. So put yourself out there, talk about it, and make sure we connect with your audience by understanding what does your audience want. And there was a fantastic question from Crete earlier, which was, how do we now differentiate and how do we use the right words, the right photos, or the right videos? Speak to the customers as much as possible. It's an iterative process. So let's see if there's any question. I don't know if there's any questions as of yet. I think Sarah's done a fantastic job of answering a few questions. We've got one here from Geraldine. Geraldine, how can I determine which type of content is most effective for mental health, wellness, and coaching space? That is a fantastic question, Geraldine. So what I would do is, let's say, for example, we sat down, we had a couple of hours, and we were focusing on mental health, wellness, and coaching space. The first thing that I will do is I will Google mental health, I will Google wellness, I will Google coaching space. I will then look at all the competitors and everything that is available that I can see, which is within mental health, wellness, and coaching space. Then I'll categorize those three different pillars, and then I'll look at my competitors and I'll start to brainstorm to see what I have to see. For example, oh, I can see the majority of my competitors are on a specific social media platform. Like, a lot of them are using Instagram. Not many people are using TikTok, for example, or not many people are using Instagram. I'll start to form an idea of where you can start creating content based off what other people are creating. By no means am I saying copy and paste. What I'm saying is find the inspiration from what's already happening. When it comes to the industries that many of us are in, we're not looking to reinvent the wheel. We are looking to form an idea of what our customers want. And if you want to find that out, Geraldine, three different categories. Google each and every single one of them. Start to look at your competitors, look at what content they create, get inspired. And then if you're still not inspired, you can jump into an AI tool like something called Google Bard. And Google Bard is a free tool. Just join the waiting list, and it can start to help you with those ideas and start to create some more creativity within those three different content pillars of creating content. So Geraldine, hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. Break it down to three, do a competitive analysis, look what's out there, and start to create your own content with a little bit of a twist. And then you start to create your own voice off the back of it. But if you want to talk more about it, if anybody else wants to know more about this, please book into those free one-to-one mentoring sessions, which I'm going to talk about very shortly. But what are your next steps? Well, this is the start of your journey, or maybe it's the middle of your journey. If you're new to the Google Digital Garage, I hugely encourage you to click in the link in the description below. There are many, many more live trainings, online courses, and even some certificates that you can do, that you can highlight in your CV and just learn more and how you can start to move forward with your business or your charity. If you're struggling, please go ahead and book into those free one-to-one mentoring sessions that myself and Sarah are so proud to be a part of, and many other digital experts. What problems do you have? What challenges do you currently have? Book into a free one-to-one mentoring session. We look to help you. Just come with questions, come with an objective, and you can book in as many as you like if you are a business or a charity within the UK. And we look forward to welcoming you to many of those. But we've got a few more minutes. Let's see if there's any more questions. Please go ahead and pop it into the chat. We've got about 4 minutes or so, or even less. Pop it into the chat because I can talk for days. Because while we have a little bit of time, I'm going to do a quick recap. And I want you all to have actionable takeaways. And on the note of actionable takeaways, if you watch this from the beginning until the end, what myself and Sarah would absolutely love to know is, what is the one actionable takeaway you have taken away from today's session? Pop it into the chat. Myself and Sarah would absolutely love to know. What is the actionable takeaway? You've spent your time with us here today. Let's make sure we have something to jump into afterwards. So I want to say a big thank you from Jenny. Is there a time limit on the mentoring? No, there is 1 hour. Yes. So the timing is 1 hour. And you can book in multiple 1 hour sessions and you can keep booking them in. I'm changing jobs soon. Charity comes. And so it might be a few months before I can book in. Please book in right now and they will schedule you in. Remember, just find an hour in your day. How do I keep content short when there's a lot of info that needs to be included? Alex, it's a fantastic question. If there is lots of information that you're looking to pass on, just like we spoke about before, attention spans are low. We can't just bombard people with information. That I've been in a similar situation, by the way. When you're looking to communicate a lot of content, how do we streamline that? So, what I would recommend, Alice, is what we create something called a content calendar. Now, the content calendar within the next 30 days, you're going to start to filter out that information. You're going to have the big message, the big content, whether it's a big blog or a big website or a big article that you may have. What I recommend you do is create different forms of content. Maybe if you feel comfortable to do so, you can say parts of what that content is through video, through shorts, for example, whether it be YouTube shorts, and then you can have a call to action to go to a major part of the content, which would be the long form content on a long YouTube channel, for example. Alternatively, if it's a blog, you want to start thinking about how you can write for social media by using the benefits of what you have to offer, capture that attention on that first line, then give them a little bit of an insight of what's beneficial for them to click on that link, and then make sure that they have a link to click on. Once they click on that link, they're then going to go to that article or go to that YouTube channel. And there's lots of different ways I can brainstorm this, but if you have lots of content, break it down to lots of short form content, which will inevitably be call to actions to the main form content. Hopefully that helps. If not, please book into a free one-to-one. Jenny, do you find things like tags, hashtags, and mentoring other organizations useful, or does this clutter up your post, depending on the platform? So it really depends on what you have to offer. And the hashtags, firstly, is the hashtags are always good because it allows you to reach an audience that's, I suppose, interested in that specific hashtag. On top of that, you may want to create your own hashtag and create consistency within that hashtag. Every single post you use the same hashtag, that's going to start to almost categorize your posts and maybe help you be found a little bit more effectively. There's lots of different ways to help you with that. In terms of mentioning organizations, mentioning other organizations is always fantastic because you want to make sure that you're collaborating and gaining lots of audience and lots of what's the word, connections with partners, and hopefully those partners are talking about you too. So to answer your question, tags definitely do not have to clutter them, but make sure they're relevant to the post. As long as it's relevant and the person is there, go ahead and tag them. Next one, when it comes to hashtags, is the hashtags relevant? Use it. When it comes to mentioning organizations, if it's something, if you felt so comfortable that in real life you would want to go in front of that business and shout at the front of the business what that post is, then yes, I would mention the organization. If it isn't, then firstly we need to question is why we're posting it, but also depending on how relevant it is. But I think we're coming towards the end of the session. We have pretty much no time. So if you are watching this still, it would mean the world to myself, Sarah, and the team. If you could let us know your feedback. What did you think about today's session? Go to goo.gle/digital garage feedback. Let us know what you thought. And on the back of that, we recommend you do the same thing every time you have an encounter with your customers, your audience, or whoever you're looking to connect with. You learn with them, they have the answers, and you can improve your strategies moving forward. Thank you. Big thank you to Sarah for moderating today's chat. Thank you for everybody for getting involved. But without further ado, look after yourself, look after each other. And I have to say bye for now and see you again soon.